Welcome! Today we're going to talk about weaving in our ends, specifically when we have two ends that are in the middle of our fabric. A lot of times we can change yarns on the edges of whatever we're working on, and that's a great way to be able to kind of hide your ends on the edges of your work, or maybe even in the selvages of your work. But sometimes it's unavoidable that we have to actually weave our ends in right in the middle of our work. And so for today's demonstration, I've got a change in color here from blue to green. And we're going to flip this over and weave those ends in. So here's our two ends, our blue end and our green end. And for the purposes of today's demonstration, I wanted two different colors so that I could kind of show you the way that I would do this. When I have to change, I like to take each end and weave it in the opposite direction of where it was joined. And that kind of helps firm up the closed area there. So we're going to trace the lines of our stitches. So we can see that there should be a stitch that would be right above this dip right here, and it would come out from here and it would go in right here. And so we're going to take our green and we're going to go right under this green, and now we're going to follow the blue up just like this. And we just want to give it a gentle tug. You don't want to pull too tight because you want to mirror the tension of the neighboring stitches exactly. And we've done that. We've now put a stitch right there. And now I'm going to come over and continue to follow the blue, and I'm going to come down through here, and then I'm going to come diagonally over and under through here. There we go. And now that we're going to ride around on the back side of our work while we weave in these ends, we don't want our tension to be too tight because we don't want to distort the stitches that we've made already in our fabric. So I'm going to continue to trace a stitch. I'm going to come under here, and it comes up and it comes over and then back under, and it continues to do this almost figure eight pattern. So I'm going to go up, and now I'm going to come back down, and I'm not pulling too tight. I'm letting that sit on the back side of my fabric, and back up and back down. And now this is where I usually like to take a little jog. Not literally, if you know me, I don't jog. We're gonna jump over here and we're gonna come down this way, and we're just gonna bop down to the row below. And now we're continuing to trace the same way we did just one row below where we were. And I'm using a fairly tacky yarn. It's just 100% Highland wool from Peru. And so it's sticky. It sticks to itself pretty well. I don't need to do any more weaving in than what I've got. If you were using a superwash yarn, you might want to weave in just a little bit more because it can slide around past itself and come work itself out of the weaving you've done. So now we have our blue, and we need to do kind of the same thing we did. This is where we used our green to close the gap of the joint, and we're going to just double trace our efforts. We're going to come under here, up into here, and here we go with the blue. And again, we don't want to pull too tight because we don't want to distort the fabric that we've already knitted. We'll go up, come back down, and now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up, and I'm going to take a jog, and I'm going to jog up. So now I'm going up here under this green and into this blue. I'm going to do some more tracing, and I think we'll call it good after this one right here. All right, so here we have our ends. We've done some weaving. Now this piece isn't blocked yet, and so I'm going to leave a little bit of a nub of yarn sticking out so that if it moves at all while it's being blocked, there's still plenty of room for it to settle without popping out to the right side. Let's flip it over and take a look at our work over here. Here we are. You can't see any of my back weaving stitches peeking through. They're all hidden. This is exactly what it looked like when we joined our new stitches. Actually, I have this work upside down. If we look at it this way, it's a little easier to see. You had one blue V and one green V where the transition happened. And it's perfectly clean. Thanks.